Hey y'all, wanted to jump in here and give some brief instruction as we kick off Project 2 in this first assignment. So like we did in Project 1, this is just the project introduction where you need to make some decisions off the bat that are going to help you or help navigate you through the rest of this work. So similar to Project 1 where you selected your local business you wanted to redesign, here you're going to make some decisions on what kind of apartment complex website you'd like to take on. And so in this project, we're gonna take a look at creativity, photography, balancing that with typography. We're also going to layer in new UI UX deliverables, like we talked about in the project statement a little bit ago, one module above this. And so I just wanted to include in this assignment just some inspirational apartment websites. What I love about this modern apartments for me or ME apartments here is how they use a unique layout. This is probably vastly different from what you would expect or what you've seen from Project 1 or through other websites, but I really like how clean, and I can see that it's clean and modern, and this layout really jives with the big important headline that they have here: modern apartments, new home furniture collection and decorations, accommodations. And so I can really easily jump into maybe the different layouts and different floor plans that they have, but then also I can learn about them more, see the products, or see a contact there. Also love this one too. This is just an interesting take, really use of great photography balanced with, again, a large call to action in this hero statement. And so we'll focus a little bit more in this project on understanding some of the basics, or I guess some of the consistencies within UI UX design. I think most of y'all heard in some of the feedback in project number 1 was focusing on a hero space, so something above the fold or close to it that would call attention as to why they should even care about this website. And so this lower sky or Lorisky, the modern apartment complex, and so that definitely goes with the type of photo they have here. It's a really modern, awesome looking apartment complex. Here on this third one, I think it's just a really unique take on the layout. And so you don't have to be so structured as it relates to the grid or just basic squares and boxes. You can be as creative as your site, as your apartment complex would require you to be based off of what route you're choosing to go. And so I think this was just a really cool example. Again, a great use of photography, a great use of these edges and the curiosity and creativity that's happening with these lines. And it looks like it maybe matches the architecture a little bit with how these windows all kind of look like they're angled and jut out a little bit. So I think this is a really cool example as well. I've included also some online apartment home website examples just to see what this looks like in the real world. And so I've got the Pennsylvanian, which is in downtown Pittsburgh. And so again, they're using beautiful photography and some beautiful typography here that kind of matches to an extent their actual logo here. You can see the navigation is kind of baked in this frame that I have going on around the UI. And so what I'm getting through this, this is Pennsylvania born, Pittsburgh made, 20th century icon gets new life in downtown Pittsburgh premier apartment residence. And so right off the bat, I get the sense that this is a classic building, something that would be very vintage, and the photography and the border and some of the subtleties that are happening here definitely give me that vibe. And so they're definitely relying on the photography, but they're also mixing in that you can make your home here in this very historic downtown Pittsburgh apartment complex. It looks absolutely beautiful for sure. And so I think this is a cool example of using high styled photography. And again, this is something where for these projects, you're gonna run into, well, where do I get this photography from? You can go out to Unsplash or Pexels or some of those open source areas and pull photography for this website, for this project. We're looking to instill an understanding of UI UX design. And with this in this role and in this course, you might not have the photography to make something like this. That's your own, and so that's okay. But you can go to those open source areas to pull that photography, especially as we do this project and start from scratch here. Let me bring up one from Cleveland. So this is Euclid and Grand. So smart and luxurious, and I get that vibe here. And I wish one thing this site did was have a call to action here in the hero area, so that I can jump in. There's really no action for me to take right here except for scrolling through here, which I would assume after this first photo that they have here, probably most people, based off how wide these are, don't actually see these arrows and probably just keep on scrolling. But I love the edge that they have here. Again, the imagining yourself in the space is really the primary thing I think about when I think about an apartment complex or apartment home website. And again, they're using some different patterns here as far as lines go, and creating that curiosity and breaking the grid a little bit here. The way they have these different hover overstates and things like that, and contact, and I think this is a really interesting, cool website. Different, as you can see, from the Pennsylvanian, which is a downtown Pittsburgh apartment complex. But this is also a downtown Cleveland apartment complex. Very different vibes here. This is kind of upscale, modern look and feel, luxurious living, and where the Pennsylvanian is more historic beauty, as they say and describe right there on the site. One thing to keep in mind, I think some of y'all may benefit from this compared to seeing what we saw in project number 1, is navigation should be consistent from page to page. Navigation shouldn't jump or shouldn't change when you jump from one page to another. And so let me just demonstrate that here. If I jump into apartment plans, you can see that navigation is exactly the same, but I know that I've clicked on apartment plans. If I jump into features is exactly the same. So the navigation should always be in the same spot. It shouldn't jump from page to page. Reason being, you don't want your users to have to relearn how to interact with your site on every single page. And so definitely keep that in mind as we head into project number 2. So this is just a great site. I thought it was really, really cool. Very different from what we saw in Pittsburgh. This is one here in downtown-ish Nashville. I know this is in a very trendy, up-and-coming area of town. It's the Flats at Silo Bend. And so, they have some things on their site that are a little different from what we've seen. This is very much around lifestyle and imagining yourself as a young professional in this area. I love the use of patterns here, and even these arrows. It creates this kind of trendy, homey vibe for this apartment complex. Well-staged photography, lifestyle photography of seeing you and your partner walking through a trendy Nashville neighborhood. And so this site does a good job of balancing the atmosphere and the vibe of the community with the space itself too. So I think this is a really cool example to explore. Every apartment site you're going to find has certain things that are consistent from site to site. There's always going to be an apply now or a contact more. There's always going to be a viewable gallery, always going to be a location. There's definitely going to be floor plans and amenities. And so those will be things that we look at as we go into project number 2 that we're going to expand upon and include in our actual prototypes that we create. All right, then there's one more here in Spring Hill. So this is actually kind of in the suburbs of Nashville, down around not too far from where I'm located at. This is a very different vibe. It's not necessarily a walkable community. It's kind of in the heart of a shopping area, and so this is more focused on in the complex environment. So you don't really see any pictures of folks walking around downtown or walking outside. It's more about the amenities. It's more about what you get by living in this area. But again, as I go from page to page, this navigation doesn't change at all. And so something to keep in mind for sure for those of you who may have had navs that change. But again, on this site, similar things. Quick being able to call or to apply, scheduling a tour, learning more about it. Lots of photography to highlight the spaces, and so a little bit about the neighborhood. But again, it's not about the neighborhood for this place. It's about the amenities that you have here at Dwell at McEwen. So before we begin diving into your mood boards, I want you to kind of take a moment to think about who you're actually going to be designing this apartment complex for. Who being the user. So Is it the trendy up and coming neighborhood, or is it the suburban amenities filled apartment complex? Is it a downtown high-rise apartment that's chic and modern, or is it more of a historic renovated building? And so those are some things you need to answer as you kick off your project. And so answering these questions are going to help dictate what you do for the rest of the project. So decide what you're going to be designing for, what type of apartment. Where is it located at? What city is it in? It can't be Youngstown. It can't be local to the area. And you'll find out why once we do the information architecture module here on Thursday, because we're going to do one that's local just to practice before we jump into yours. So can't be in Youngstown. It needs to be somewhere else. And so you can be creative and imaginative. Could be in New York. Could be Chicago. Could be LA. Could be here in Nashville. Could be in the country somewhere if there's an apartment complex out there. So what kind of customer are you targeting? Is this going to be a luxury kind of upper level career apartment, or is it going to be for students or family focused or young professionals? And so make those decisions there. So you're going to answer those questions, include those answers in a 200 to 300 word statement. Groups have changed for project number 2, so you've got some new partners in your peer group. Excited to see what y'all come up with and begin with for project number 2. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll look forward to reviewing your discussion post a little bit later. Cool. Thanks, y'all.